Hi, good evening. I'm Julie Trude, representing the ABC League of Women Voters. I'm the vice chair representing the group this evening as we have a program on Anoka County Parks and an update. First, I'd like to just review that the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization. We encourage informed and active participation in government. We work to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and we influence public policy through education and advocacy. If you'd like to learn more, we have a website, we have Facebook, and we're on Twitter, and also on Instagram. I'd like to bring Wes Volkanen forward. He's the treasurer of ABC League of Women Voters, and he'll introduce our guests this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. This was a topic that we suggested from our program committee because it's a very pertinent piece of what is happening in Anoka County right now. Our Parks Department is really at the hub of everything. And I will tell you, as someone who has been at many of the Parks Committee meetings in the last couple of years, this is the most organized and the most transparent department to the public. If you read their agendas before their monthly meetings, you know exactly what they're talking about at the monthly meeting. We maybe miss the commissioner asides with each other, but we actually have a very wonderful agenda that has the director's report and then actually has diagrams and information background about every item that they take up and that they act on as a committee. So this is my favorite committee to go to when I have to attend a monthly meeting of an Anoka County group. It's my pleasure tonight to introduce two speakers that are joining us. First, Commissioner Mike Gamache. Mike is the chair of the Anoka County Parks Committee. Some of you know Mike from his 14 years as mayor of Andover, where we are, a long, distinguished career that he moved to and from with the Anoka County Board. Mike was first elected in 2014. He was re-elected in 2018. And if you do the math, you'll know he is due for re-election again next year in 2022. Although, as it turns out, apparently all of the commissioners are going to be up for re-election next year because of redistricting. Mike does a nice job of informing the public as the chair of the committee. And in particular, I want to really thank him for the recent meeting that they conducted in June at the new Bunker Beach, where Mike knew he had a controversial item on the agenda, and he made it very fair for the public to be able to speak their voice, ask their questions, make their comments in a very, very respectful manner. And as someone sitting in the crowd, I was very, very appreciative of that. It's also my pleasure to introduce the director of the Parks Department. You see his name here up on our screen, Jeff Perry. The Parks Department has only had 3 directors in its entire history, and it's been here for more than 55 years. Think about that. 3 people have led it through all of these years. Jeff came to Anoka County back in 2005. He's been with the county for 16 years. The last 3 of those years, he's been the director of this department. He took over when his longtime predecessor, Mr. Von der Linde, retired. Very long, distinguished career. Jeff had been his assistant. He is doing a terrific job. I think one of my favorite times that I've heard him talk about being Parks Director is when he and Commissioner Gamache went out doing the bike trails together. And apparently, looking at what we can do for bike trails here in Anoka County, they went over and did a really long ride over in Champlin through the Three Rivers Park area, as I recall, as they took some good hints and some good ideas to do a good, improved job here for our Anoka County trails. Jeff is going to be doing our main presentation, but I'm going to hand the mic over to Mike, as Commissioner Gamache is going to share some comments with you about being the chair of the Parks committee and his experience working with Director Perry. And then Jeff will be doing our main presentation this evening. And after that, we do welcome questions from the crowd. And I hope we get a nice wide variety because there is a lot going on in the parks and a lot of things that you can become much better informed about through these two gentlemen. So I'm going to hand off now to Commissioner Mike Gamache.
Thank you, Wes. Nice introduction. Thank you very much. Yes, I have been on the county board now since being elected in 2014. And in the last 3 years, it's been my honor to chair the Parks Committee. After the retirement of Commissioner Kordiak, who had been there for a long time and had been the chair of the parks for many years, I was assigned this role, and it's a great honor, as I said, to have this. I've been on the Parks Board for a number of years prior. I think I may have been, maybe every year that I've been on the board, I've been on Parks Committee, so I appreciate that. That's one of the, as you might know, the chair of the board makes the decisions as to where everybody serves. One of the nice things that they do, and this has gone back with Commissioner Sivaraja when she was commissioner and board chair, and then Commissioner Schulte, is that they look at, especially for parks, they look at the park system, and since my district represents Andover and Coon Rapids, Bunker as our biggest park, and probably the most famous park that we have, is right here in my district. So that's why I've been on the Parks Committee for all these years. But a lot goes on at the Parks Committee. It's always interesting. There's never anything boring going on. And as Wes did say, Jeff Perry has done a great job in the last few years as our director. I really appreciate the work he's done, and he's going to give you a great presentation as to some of the things that you're going to see in the future, and maybe some of the things that are out there right now that we've been updating and upgrading. As you all know, Bunker Beach is back open again. We did shut it down. We had plans to shut it down prior to COVID so that we could get the reconstruction done. And with COVID, we had to shut it down early. It did give us a benefit of starting construction on the site in the summer, which was helpful because they were promising us that they were going to have it all done from after we shut down in September up until June of this year. But after watching them do all this construction, I'm not exactly sure how they were going to do that, so COVID benefited us to get it done a little earlier. So glad to see that. And as you may have heard, we had some real excitement right off the start where people were not quite used to 98-degree weather, standing out in the sun, and some of them had some heat problems and issues like that, so we've gotten that taken care of. We've added some umbrellas outside of the park for people that are in line, some water to make sure that we can keep people hydrated, and it's gotten a lot better. The good news is that we have been reaching our capacity on a regular basis. A lot of people have pent up need to be out and about and get back in the water again, so we're lucky, I guess, in that regard too, because it's not like we're worried about how many people are going to be there. We're going to have a full house almost every single day when it's 90. And another good news, bad news, I've seen the forecast and they're talking about more 90 coming up. So unfortunately, or fortunately, it's going to be a hot summer. So I don't want to take up any more time. Jeff's got a great presentation for you. We do have some time for questions after we get all done with this, and I hope there's some great questions on the park system. Both Jeff and I can answer anything on that, and if you wish to ask any other questions regarding the Anoka County Board, I'll be happy to answer them and stay with you as long as you wish to throw them at me. I'll be here. So, but without further ado, this is the man that can tell you everything about the parks. And I tell you, I've learned more from him in the last 3 years and I can't remember half of it because it's really detailed and he's really got some great information. He's your regular naturalist, so you can ask him a lot of tough questions if you want about things that are growing in this park, and he can tell you what they are. But Jeff, come on up.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Gamache, Wes, thank you, Mayor, thank you. Yeah, and welcome. Welcome to the Bunker Hills Activity Center, Bunker Hills Regional Park. We're more than delighted to host your group. And I do have to mention that your work, I went to your website earlier today, and the work you do is very commendable, very honorable, and very important work. Just looking at your tagline, empowering voters and defending democracy, wow, do we need that, especially today. So I am very honored and privileged to provide you with a presentation this evening on Anoka County's park system. But before I jump into that, I just wanted to thank you for your work. I know you ladies celebrated your 100-year anniversary back in 2019. And wow, that's impressive in itself too. Over the past 100+ years, the work that you've been doing on behalf of your mission is again very commendable. So thank you. Just moving into my presentation here, and you know, if there's questions, this is an informal setting. I know it's televised. But if there's something that you want to ask a question about while the slide is up, just feel free to raise your hand and we can take questions as we go as well. So with that said, I will jump into kind of an introduction to the regional park system in terms of the context of how it fits into the regional park system here in the Twin Cities metropolitan area. So you can see Anoka County up on the north end of the metropolitan area. There are region-wide, there's 56 regional parks. Bunker Hills happens to be one of those regional parks. So there's 400 miles of trails across the regional park system, and that's across all 7 counties. There's approximately 55,000 acres of regional parkland. And visitation-wise, the regional system sees over 60 million visitors a year. In Anoka County alone, that equates to about 5.5 million visitors just to our county regional park system, which is, that's a lot of people to serve. We often say that we are the best health club Minnesotans can buy. And the reason that we say that is it costs about $114 million to operate the regional park system. So if you equate that to each visitor, it costs about $1.90 per visitor, which is not a bad deal. So my other colleagues in the regional system include all of the other 6 metro counties, with the exception of Hennepin County. They have a special park district. Many of you probably know Three Rivers Park District is a special park district, and then the other 6 metro counties, and then there's 3 cities. There's City of Minneapolis Park System, City of St. Paul, and City of Bloomington. So collectively, all of the 10 what we call implementing park agencies, we all independently own and operate the regional park system. The county park system, drilling further down to Anoka County, the first county park in the state of Minnesota was established by special legislation in 1963. Down in the panhandle of the county, Kodiak County Park is a little park down in Columbia Heights that was established with special legislation that was led by the chair of the county board, Al Kodiak. So I have a great deal of gratitude to Al and his work back in the early 1960s to create that special legislation which led to establishing the county park system. The rest of the county and regional parks in Anoka County, you can see that they're very well geographically distributed and politically distributed. Most of our parks are found along lakes, rivers, and streams, which makes them very interesting. It's a natural resource-based park system, so we don't have ball fields, we don't have hockey rinks, we don't have soccer fields. We're a natural resource-based park system with what we call passive recreation, trail use, camping, programming, nature viewing, fishing, etc. So it's a a very natural resource-based park system. We have about 11,500 acres across our county park system. And most people don't care if they're regional parks or county parks or city parks for that matter, but our designation are 8 regional parks, 6 county parks, 2 conservation areas. We have 10 regional trail corridors, and currently we have just over 100 miles of improved asphalt bike trails across the system. A lot of those trails are within parks, but some of those trails connect the regional park system together as well. So some of them travel along county and city roadways. And again, we served back in 2019 about 5.5 million visitors. During the pandemic, I'm sure that number went through the roof. We didn't have park use counters in the field last year, but I would estimate that we're hovering right around serving 6 million people per year just in the Anoka County's park system. Just to give you a flavor of some of the water-based activities that Anoka County provides, this is our Voyager canoe. We use it for programming. We get it out on the Rum River, on the Mississippi River. We do a lot of programming with the youth. And believe it or not, you can fit about 20 people in that particular canoe, and the kids just love it. So we have our main programmer, Todd Morawski, sitting there. He's the best in the business, and he takes the kids out on the water, and they just have a grand old time. Swimming beach areas, we have 4 designated swimming beach areas. We have one at Lake George, Coon Lake, Centerville Lake, and then up in Linwood Township, we have a small lake called Island Lake, but we have a public swimming beach there as well. We have a number of fishing piers and wildlife observation piers across our system, primarily on lake systems, but we do have some observation areas on the Mississippi and Rum Rivers as well, and we have some on the Rice Creek. For shore angling, there's plenty of opportunities, especially along the lake shores where we have parkland, along the rivers where we have parkland. The Rum River, we have 3 park units on the Rum River, and on the Mississippi River, we have several park units positioned along the Mississippi River. So there's plenty of opportunities to access the river, to learn about the river, to angle, to launch a canoe, launch a kayak, launch your boats. We do a lot of programming, a lot of water-based programming, and I did place at all of the tables our park guide, and this park guide runs basically through the summer months, spring and summer, through September, and it tells you a little more detail about all of our programs. We try to equally serve as many populations as we possibly can, with age group, with race, with ethnicity, and we're continually trying to reach more and more of the underserved communities as well. So that's a big part of our mission, to reach everybody that we possibly can reach throughout the community. Just some examples of our land-based recreation. In the wintertime, we do cross-country ski trails. We have about 30 miles of cross-country ski trails across 4 different areas. We have a couple of rental facilities. We have one here at Bunker Hills Regional Park at our Campground Visitor Center. We have 2, I think, of the Metro's best campgrounds. We have Bunker Hills Campground here in this park. We have Rice Creek Chain of Lakes campgrounds out in the Lino Lakes in the Rice Creek Chain of Lakes Park Reserve. And those campgrounds are sold out every weekend of the year. And during the week, we're starting to pick up a lot more business as well, especially when we opened during the pandemic. Our during the week business has really, really picked up as well. So they're great campgrounds. Full restrooms, full electric, full hookups. We do have some primitive sites as well if folks are into more of that primitive experience, but two wonderful, wonderful campgrounds for public enjoyment. In terms of equestrian facilities, I love that picture of that horse. He's got so much expression. We do have equestrian facilities here at Bunker Hills Regional Park. We have about 5 to 6 miles of trail here at Bunker Hills Regional Park, and we have a vendor that provides equestrian-related services here at Bunker. And then we also have equestrian facilities at Rum River Central Regional Park in Ramsey, just up 7th Avenue. We have a 435-acre park, regional park up there on the west shore of the Rum River, and we have some very interesting equestrian trails up there. There's a lot more. Here at Bunker, the topography is flat as a pancake, but you get up to Rum River Central, it probably has the most relief and topography in our system. So there's a number of trails, but in terms of equestrian facilities, Rum River Central is a pretty neat, pretty special place to ride horses there as well. I'd indicated we have 100 miles, over 100 miles of improved trails. We have a lot of natural surface trails. We have a number of boardwalks across our system to get back into diverse wetland communities, so you can learn about the native plant and animal communities. And picnic pavilion-wise, we have a very comprehensive picnic pavilion system. We have about 35 reservable picnic pavilions spread across the county. And this is an example of Bunker Hills Regional Park, Pavilion number 3, which is a large group pavilion. But we have a number of other small, medium, and large-size pavilions. And they're open for public use, but they are reservable as well. And when you walk up to a pavilion in the Anoka County Park System, there's a little sign standard, and it will tell you whether or not it's reserved. If it isn't reserved, you're welcome to use it. If it is reserved, it'll just carve out that specific time frame in which it is reserved. In terms of winter facilities, when we have good snow years, Anoka County Parks is a wonderful place to recreate in the wintertime as well. It's a winter wonderland. There's almost 12,000 acres out there. Whether you're into skiing, skijoring, skijoring is cross-country skiing getting pulled by a sled dog or a team of sled dogs. For those that are looking for a little risk and entertainment, you can have your dog pull you around the ski trails. But we do have designated areas for the skijoring as well. It happens to be on the west side of the railroad tracks here at Bunker Hills Regional Park. But we do have rental facilities at the Bunker Hills Campground Visitor Center, and also at Chamonix Golf Course. We do provide cross-country ski rentals there as well. But we do rent snowshoes and kickboards as well. At Wargo Nature Center, we have kickboards that you can find a slope and a hill, and it's kind of a Native American based activity where you can go down a gentle slope on a kickboard. Fishing access sites are very, very popular in Anoka County. We have public boat launches at most all of our lakes and rivers, and primarily in the wintertime for ice fishing activities. We have a number of public boat launch opportunities for public enjoyment. And then, might sound a little out of context, but we do work very closely with 3 local snowmobile clubs here in Anoka County. We have since the mid-1970s. And so the snowmobile trails, the Rum River Club is up in the northwest corner of Anoka County. And then we have Kiwi, which is in the central portion of the county. And then Rice Creek Snowmobile Trail traverses out there. We don't have a lot of miles within the context of the parks. Some of those pass through the parks for small areas. The lion's share of the snowmobile trails are located outside of the parks, but we function as a fiscal pass-through agent on behalf of the state of Minnesota to work with the clubs to ensure that the trails are safe, they're maintained, and they're there for public enjoyment. Just to highlight some of our special features or special facilities, we have the Banfield Tavern, which is located in Fridley, currently houses the Banfield Locke Center for the Arts, and it is one of the oldest Greek revival homes in the state of Minnesota. It was built in 1847, and it's showing its age at the moment because it needs a new foundation, new siding, new windows, new roof, and some interior upgrades. And it's actually on the state national register, on the National Historic Register. So there are guiding policies through the Department of the Interior in which whenever we do improvements to a facility like that, we got to make sure that we're doing them in period and they're in accordance with that federal policy. Wargo Nature Center out in Lino Lakes, seen some recent improvements that I'll talk about here in a little bit, but that facility was built opened in 1994, it was built in 1993, and that is our home base of our programming unit. So everything that you see in this, much of that activity is delivered through Wargo Nature Center, but we do other outreach programming venues at Bunker Hills Regional Park, at Coon Rapids Dam Regional Park, and we also use area lakes and rivers as well for our programming delivery model. Chamonix Golf Course out in Lino Lakes is a championship 18-hole golf course. And a few years ago, we were reviewing budget. We brought it through our Parks Committee, had some conversations with our county board, and we were just transparent with the finances associated with Chamonix Golf Course. And we were pondering the future, and the county board made the decision to give it a 3-year evaluation window to see if we can have an opportunity to turn around the finances a little bit, at least to have the revenues cover the costs of the facility. So I'm pleased to report that 3-year period, I'll be going in front of the county board tomorrow and giving them a report, and a final decision will likely be made to continue with ongoing operations at Chamonix Golf Course. But a little history on Chamonix. It was built as a 9-hole golf course in 1969. The county acquired it as a 9-hole golf course in 1975, and the county then operated from 75 through the early 1980s. And then in the early 1980s, we expanded, made it a championship 18-hole golf course, and it is truly a gem in the rough, because you can go out and golf Chamonix on any given day. You're going to see sandhill cranes, you're going to see great blue herons, you're going to see white-tailed deer, you're going to see fox, and much to my demise, sometimes a skunk or a raccoon digging trying to find some food. But just a beautiful, beautiful setting, beautiful golf course that I'm just pleased to say that we hired a new golf course manager 3 years and brought Mark Hansen in. He's done a tremendous job out at Chamonix. And then this slide tower complex is Bunker Beach, Minnesota's largest outdoor water park. And Bunker Beach was built in several phases. Started back in 1988 with the original wave pool. That's all that was there was just a wave pool. It was the only outdoor wave pool in Minnesota back in the late 1980s. But then in 2003, there was a phase 1 expansion where we put in this slide tower complex and an adventure pool. And then in 2010, we built the Lazy River complex that is very popular. So it essentially is 10 acres of outdoor fun. If you haven't been to Bunker Beach, it's definitely worth the visit. Commissioner Gamache mentioned the recent expansion at Bunker Beach, and I'll talk a little bit more in detail about that here in a few minutes. Some other special features, we have one of the state-of-the-art archery complexes in the upper Midwest here in Bunker Hills Regional Park, over off of 133rd Avenue in Andover, kind of the split between Andover and Coon Rapids. And we have 3 outdoor loops, we have a broadhead range, we have a state-of-the-art indoor facility, and I've been asked to go to different parts of the country and talk about how we worked with the local club, how we do capital improvements, how we do programming, and we have a contract with the local archery club that's been in place for a number of years. And we actually had back in, 2000, May 3rd of 2000, we had Burlington Northern train was coming through town on the tracks over here, just west of here. And it was throwing embers out of the main engine of the train. And it lit fires from Coon Rapids up well into Isani County. And it was 25 to 30 mile an hour winds, about 15% humidity, everything's dormant. And of course we have prairie and pines along the railroad tracks over there. And it started one of the metro area's largest wildfires on record. And it ended up burning about 400 acres of pine plantation. And we were able to, long story short, settle with the railroad company, use those proceeds from that settlement to build a new archery complex. So there was great public value, great public benefit, and it truly is a remarkable facility. As I had indicated, the Bunker Park Stables do a ton of programming on our behalf. We do hire a vendor to conduct the equestrian services here at Bunker Hills Regional Park. They do a tremendous job. It's year-round. They can do sleigh rides in the wintertime, hay rides, equestrian program for disabled children. So they do a ton of programming on our behalf, and we don't charge them, they don't charge us anything other than providing the facility for them. Dog parks. We have 2 dog parks in the county park system. We have one here at Bunker Hills on the west side of the tracks. It's a cooperative agreement with the city of Andover and city of Coon Rapids where we kind of share the operating expenses, so it's a win-win. And then we also have a nice smaller dog park down at Locke County Park in Fridley, which is also a great facility. And oftentimes I say, if you build a dog park, they will come, and they certainly have. So that is, it's been a very popular activity. And then lastly on this slide, we have 2 disc golf courses. We have a 9-hole course here at Bunker Hills Regional Park, kind of transitions through some oak savanna, some prairie, some pine plantation. It's adjacent to our campgrounds, our picnic area, very popular facility. And then we just finished up one down in Fridley. It's called the Riverfront 13 at Riverfront Regional Park, just south of 694. 13-hole course that is getting a lot of love as we speak, because we actually hosted the first women's disc golf tournament in the state of Minnesota in May of this year. So that was pretty cool. So great facilities if you or anybody you know is interested in disc golf. Here at the Activity Center building, this building was built in 1974, and Frank Lloyd Wright style architecture, and nice setting in the oak savanna and prairie. Functions as our park headquarters, and we have meeting room facilities here. On the main level, we have this room, the oak room next door. That divider comes out. We just finished a beautiful new deck that had social hour on. We have a small meeting room with a kitchen across the hallway, another small 25 capacity meeting room here, and then we also house 4-H downstairs on the lower level, And the University of Minnesota Extension is also, their regional office headquarters is here as well. So it's a great facility, great meeting facility, and it does get a lot of use. This is the Bunker Hills Campground Visitor Center that was built in the early 2000s. Supports not only campground operations, but in the wintertime we do cross-country ski trail, ski equipment rentals, snowshoe rentals out of there. We've done some programming, and it is available for rent as well. The Coon Rapids Dam Visitor Center at Coon Rapids Dam on the Mississippi River was a facility that was built in 1978. Used to be owned and operated by Three Rivers. Since then, we purchased the land and the building from Three Rivers. Kind of weird, Three Rivers owned, facility and land in Anoka County, but they did, and we worked out a deal with them. But that facility is open to the general public, and it's open for rental, and we do a fair amount of programming. There's interpretive features on the Mississippi River in there, so it's really a cool facility. And then lastly, this building here was built in the mid-2000s, and that's the Rice Creek Campground Visitor Center. And we have interpretive displays in there of some Native American artifacts, some natural resource related features, and then it functions to support the campground operations as well. Last 4 slides highlighting some of our unique amenities. This is the Rydell Mansion in Riverfront Regional Park down in Fridley, built in the 1880s. Beautiful full 2-story, and it's a great wedding venue. This gazebo supports the building, overlooks the Mississippi River, and just a wonderful facility. This is Coon Rapids Dam Performance Pavilion. Thursday nights, there are free concerts throughout the summer, and we work very closely with the Coon Rapids Arts Commission, and they essentially do all of the legwork in coordinating the bands, paying for the bands. We just provide the facility. So it truly is a wonderful facility, a nice way to spend a Thursday evening during the summer months. Camp Sally is located in Linwood Township, up in the northeastern part of the county. It's an old 4-H facility that has a series of cabins, a mess hall, a restroom facility, and it's tucked in a beautiful natural area that has a series of trails. You can walk to Island Lake, you can walk to the swimming beach from Camp Sally, and it's about a 500-acre piece of paradise in the northeastern part of the county. That's really a special place. It's available for private rentals, as well as 4-H uses it for programming on a regular basis as well, but it's a very reasonably priced facility and has a lot to offer. The Rum River. The Rum River is a unique and special resource here in Anoka County. The source of the Rum River comes out of Mille Lacs Lake. It flows 126 miles before the confluence of the Mississippi, and it is a true gem in terms of the biological diversity and function that it supports, and the mussel community and the fisheries. It's a world-class fishery, and we're lucky to have 3 park units on the Rum River, and we use it a ton for programming. We have canoe campsites on the Rum River for those that are canoeing or kayaking, passing through. They can pull off, spend the night, and have a nice facility, a nice safe facility to spend the evening. So we view the Rum River as an absolute gem of a resource, along with the Mississippi River. I mean, we have two wonderful river systems here in Anoka County that are available for public use. And kind of lastly, as part of this part of the presentation, before I give you a quick update on projects, I'd indicated we're a natural resource-based park system. We truly do here in Anoka County. We have the most unique and diverse native plant and animal habitat than any other metro county by far. The Minnesota County Biological Survey has an inventory of plants, rare plants and animals, and Anoka County is loaded with them. This park alone, it's pretty common. You can go walk the park on an afternoon and see a bull snake, a western hognose snake, if you know what you're looking for, a series of rare and endangered plants. So it truly is a very, very precious resource. And through a series of our comprehensive plans, we put the natural resources first. We've done comprehensive inventories. Our job, we're just merely stewards of the land in this little short amount of time, but we try to do our best to maintain and sustain those rare and endangered plant and animal communities. We use a lot of fire prescribed burning to manage the resources. We, Wes, when he introduced me, said I started back in '05, and I hope I don't outdate myself, but I started here in 1996, so I've been around, and when I was hired here in 1996, I was hired as the first ecologist here in Anoka County Park. So I've been blessed with the opportunity to be able to inventory and manage these resources over the past 25 years. So it truly is a special place. We do a lot of logging. We do a lot of invasive species work. We do aquatic invasive species. We do terrestrial invasive species. We've done wild rice introductions, and the list goes on and on.
Jeff, let me ask you, is ash borer affecting the park, and then I assume oak wilt is still an issue?
Yeah, the question is, are we dealing with emerald ash borer and oak wilt? And yes, and it's alive and well. Throughout Anoka County, we have our own vibratory plow to address oak wilt. So we do annual surveys and assessment. We identify the infection centers. We plow around them. We manage the potential sporulating trees, and react accordingly to that. We're proactive in our approach. And emerald ash borer is very prevalent. It's on the increase, and so we target treat trees that are at our golf course, campgrounds, near picnic pavilions, and so we have a very aggressive EAB plan and oak wilt management plan. This is just showing growth in our regional park system. And you can see all these indices are, on the incline. And this is for the regional system across the Twin Cities metro area, just to give you an idea. Acres of parkland is continually increasing. Miles of trail is increasing. And this data just goes back to 1985 through the present, so it's past 35 plus years of data. And then the annual visits, of course, back in 1985 were, hovering around the 10 million mark, and today we're breaching the 60 million visits per year across the regional system. Just quickly on our regional funding sources, we have access to operations and maintenance through the state. We have access to general fund money through the state of Minnesota, to lottery and Lewis sales tax, and those are the two primary pieces. We also have a little bit of access to Environment Natural Resources Trust Fund as well. So all of those coupled just for Anoka County, we were able, fortunately, to access about $750,000 from the state legislature every year, and that money is allocated to us based on legislative formulas. Park and Trail Legacy, huge windfall of money back in 2008. So if you voted for that constitutional amendment, thank you dearly. And that money, as you know, it goes to outdoor heritage, 33%. It goes to clean water, 33%. Arts and culture gets 19.75%, and park and trails gets about 14.25%. So huge windfall of money. It does have a sunset of 2034. There's already been some campaigns just to raise awareness about that and the importance of continuing that beyond 2034. So that will likely be back on the ballot in 2034, and certainly appreciate your vote on that one. And then bonding, state bonding, we do average anywhere from $500,000 to about $1.5 million per year, and we're always at the table for state bonding. I think this deck project that we finished about a year and a half ago was part of the legacy program, but the state bonding money too is critically important to our existence here in Anoka County. I should mention too, for every $3 of state bonds that's secured, the Met Council matches that with $2 of Met Council bonding money. So that's a big match as well. We rely heavily on our community partners. Connexus Energy gives us a $25,000 donation every year that we use for programming. We do wildlife outreach. We do Heritage Lab programs. Out at Wargo Nature Center in the Rice Creek Chain of Lakes Park Reserve, we hit local schools in the winter to talk about native wildlife and wildlife habitat. The YMCA has been a great partner over the years. They used to be with us up at Lake George. They since have dissolved that, and we also have them out at Day Camp Heritage out at the Rice Creek Chain of Lakes, a wonderful youth program. We serve over 1,500 youth per year out at the Heritage Lab program. Bunker Park Stables, as I had mentioned, great partner in providing services that allows us to provide more services to the public. The Coon Rapids Arts Commission, hats off to them for partnering with us. University of Minnesota Master Gardener Program is huge. They help maintain the Veterans Garden out here, and certainly work with them on various projects across the county. And also the School of Architecture at the University of Minnesota, which their graduate student group created 3 of these structures that we use for programming. And each structure is very unique and different, designed by graduate students, but that was no cost to the county. Rapids Archery Club, again, that state-of-the-art archery facility here, and they do a ton of programming on behalf of the county. And then the Minnesota Recreation and Parks, our statewide association, they are a tenant of ours down at Islands of Peace in Fridley. Real quick on some project highlights. These are just some recent run-of-the-mill projects, with the exception of Bunker Beach, because that was a big investment. We put the new wave pool in since the original was built in 1988. It was failing, and it was costing us a lot of money to maintain that structure. So we went through a study, and the county board provided very generous support on this particular project, built a brand new wave pool, a new children's lagoon, a beautiful family restroom facility with a lactation room for new moms, operations support center, since we didn't have a good maintenance support facility there. So just a wonderful project that I thought I would highlight. At Lake George Regional Park, we did some restroom renovations with some legacy funding, and also some picnic pavilion restoration. These glue laminated piers were starting to delaminate at the base and decay, so we came up with a system to restructure, restabilize those while maintaining the primary superstructure here. And those will be good to go for another 30 years, hopefully. Coon Rapids Dam Visitor Center. This was the facility that was built in 1978, had original windows, and they were wood framed, and they were starting to decay, and we were concerned that, we were literally getting shifts in the windows, especially the river-facing bank of windows. You can see these little vertical lines. They're bird-friendly windows, so the birds hopefully won't fly into it, because believe it or not, we did have, we have bee gardens and butterfly and bird gardens right outside of the visitor center for people that want to sit in there and bird watch in the wintertime. And we did have quite a number of window collisions with the birds, but since we put these in, we've been in good shape. Monoman, this is adjacent to the Banfield Tavern structure. This was our oldest restroom in the system that had literally stainless steel barracks, 1940 barrack style commodes in there, without doors, by the way. It's like, and I served some time in the military, and I walked in there, and I remember my first impression. I thought I was having flashbacks in the Army. And so anyways, we made them handicap accessible, and just made some nice interior improvements down at Monoman County Park. Wargo entrance road and parking lot, that's just recently completed project, and that was original from 1993, so we were able to get almost 30 years out of that first road and parking lot. The interior displays at Wargo, the Star Tribune had an article recently about improvements to nature centers that are outdated across the metro area, and Wargo was mentioned in there. But we're doing some really cool improvements at Wargo. We are fabricating a not a full-size maple tree, but a good-sized sugar maple tree that'll have a spiral staircase going up the tree, so people can walk through the tree and see the different layers of biological activity that occurs in a maple tree. So it'll be kind of cool. And then on the entry road up to Wargo, we got some of these super-sized insects, or this is a spider that will be cast in bronze, and this thing's going to look pretty threatening once it's painted. But for the kids to actually, climb on it, touch it, feel it, we'll have some interpretive stuff there too. But I think we have a spider, a dragonfly, and maybe a snake. So it's stuff that's really appealing, to the youngsters, that they will definitely have, hopefully, many years of fun climbing around on those. The Rice Creek single track trails, Wes had indicated that, part of our jobs as parks people and policymakers, we have to do best practices tours. So, Commissioner Gamache and I spent a few hours touring some local trails to get some good ideas and best practice ideas. And we are now in the process of bidding this project out, and we'll be building about 4 miles of single track trail at Rice Creek. Yes, sir.
What do you mean by single track?
Basically, it's a very narrow earth surface trail that is designed for mountain bikes, fat tire bikes primarily, and it's to give you a very intimate experience driving your bicycle through the topography and the forested areas and some prairie areas. So it's kind of part of this mountain bike fat tire trend that we're trying to keep up with. I'm told that these trails started being built about 20 years ago, and sometimes when the kids make jumps that are unsafe, we have to take them down, etc. But we've embraced the idea. We did a ton of community outreach, and we came up with a solid plan and some federal funding to get it done. Rice Creek North Regional Trail out in Circle Pines, there's a gap of about 1.5 miles of trail that goes through some emergent marsh. It crosses 2 creeks. We were able, the bonding bill from 2020, we were able to secure $500,000 for design and engineering, and we'll be going back to the legislature trying to secure some construction dollars. But a very important missing link out in that particular, what we refer to as Rice Creek North Regional Trail. And Just to give you context, this is Lexington Avenue, County Road J. This is Ramsey County down here. But this trail will take you all the way up to Lino Lake City Hall, the YMCA, and then on over to Wargo Nature Center. But if you follow it down through Ramsey County, you go through the old TCAP site and then catch back into Rice Creek West, which will take you all the way to the Mississippi River. It's about a 26-mile corridor and a very important missing link that we hope to get built out here within the next several years. The Rum River Habitat Initiative, we partnered with a lot of state funding agencies, Conservation Partners Legacy, Lessard Sam's Outdoor Heritage Council, Clean Water Fund. We're working very closely with the Anoka Conservation District. They are very vital partners to Anoka County Parks. They help us with technical assistance. They secure some grant funding, but we'll be repairing a number of sites along the Rum River to create better wildlife habitat, better fisheries habitat, better habitat for the mussels and everything else that, that lives in or adjacent to the Rum River. And just an example of one of our projects, this was adjacent to Rum River Central in Ramsey, and then we acquired a conservation area back in 2009 and 2010, and severe erosion here. You can see this red cedar trees barely hanging in. This fence post used to be up here that since failed, but we did a combination of armoring at the toe of the riverbank slope and then regraded and restored native prairie on the high side there. And great habitat. We have some submerged rock veins here that provide little eddy areas for feeding walleye, feeding smallmouth, and for all the other biological communities that live in the river. So it's a big initiative. Thanks to our county board, they contributed some capital funding to this as well to show that Anoka County cares about these resources and wants to do our very best in managing these for future generations. And with that, I've done enough talking, so I'm ready for some questions.
Way in the back.
Mary Jo, I've thought about this for many years, and I did work for parks for many years, and I'm also on the conservation committee. But our organization, our Legal Women Voters, struggles with the same thing you brought up, Jeff, in your talk, that how you take care of underserved populations. We struggle with issues of diversity, how our county is changing. And I know the Three Rivers Park some years ago, and this is not true anymore, correct me, but done away with their parking fee because they had done an extensive study on who wasn't being served by Three Rivers Parks, and it was the population you might call the underserved people, young families, new residents to the county from other countries and other cultures. And I just wondered if your committee had ever studied that idea. I know you have to get your money from somewhere, but they still continue all their fees and other ways of funding, but they dropped the parking. And I did babysit the dam for a few weeks, and I heard many irate residents in Blue Rapids saying, in order to avoid the parking fee, so many people just flooded their neighborhood and parking on the residential streets. So, you know, there's great unhappiness on many levels, some because of the parking fee. So I know sometimes the annual fee is steep for a family to go in and pay that fee to get in, or even, you know, just a single parking sometimes is kind of bothersome for young people who don't have parking. But I just wondered if the committee had ever studied this issue as Three Rivers did, or I just thought about it. Even when this park was changed, I stood up and advocated that there had to be an entry to this building that people didn't have to pay for because of the so many volunteers with especially with 4-H. I was very involved with 4-H, and so all the volunteers that they had work every time they came in, or else getting a pass for the season, just to come in and volunteer. So anyway, that's my last speech. I've been thinking about it.
Well, first of all, Mary Jo, thank you for all of your contributions through Anoka Conservation District. And for those of you, Mary Jo is a phenomenal artist, and she has donated a lot of artwork to Anoka County that has benefited so many people. So thank you. Yeah, getting back to your question, have we studied it? Absolutely. We actually study that issue on a regular basis. Comparing us to Three Rivers Park District, we're financed a lot differently. Three Rivers Park District is a special park district, the only special park district in the state of Minnesota. They have their own taxing authority. So relative to the 9 other implementing agencies, they're kind of in a league of their own. So their budget is huge relative to Anoka counties. Three Rivers did do away with their entrance parking permit fees, but they have restructured their use fees in other ways. So it's on the surface, it's like, oh yeah, they don't charge for a vehicle entry permit, but if you're using the archery, you're paying a fee. If you're using their boat launch, you're using a fee. If you're parking in certain areas using their facilities, you are paying a fee. But just to give you just a general idea of what we get in dailies and annuals is about $700,000. And if we take that away, then I'll be looking to the chair of my Parks Committee that I got a big hole in my budget. And to make up that operation, and it's designed to go right into operations and maintenance because, as I said, for the regional system, it's cost $114 million to operate the regional system. But yeah, we continually look at it. Washington County is still charging a fee. State of Minnesota, DNR, state parks, it's kind of the same model. Carver County recently did away with their fees, I think in 2020, last year, and they're a tiny system relative to Anoka County. So the impact to their operating budget wasn't big, but their county board did subsidize with county tax levy to fill their gap based on the people that they serve. But to answer your question, Mary Jo, yes, we do take that very seriously. We look at our fee structure twice a year. We look at it in May, we look at it in November. We're seeing what our colleagues are doing. We're seeing what the financial, economic implications are, and bottom line, what our budget forecasts are looking forward. So appreciate you bringing that up, and just a straight answer to a straight question. I'll let the commissioner.
I'm looking for a trail around a lake. People like to build their homes around the lake. Is there any lake trails that we can walk around the lake?
The one's probably up in Lino.
Where?
Like,
Will you use the lake?
Yeah, a trail around a lake. Are you talking like a 10 foot wide by 2 minutes, our standard trail? Centerville Lake and Lino Lakes. If you go to the Rice Creek Chain of Lakes Park Reserve, so get on Main Street, take that all the way in, you run right through the Park Reserve. Main Street runs right through the Park Reserve and take you right into downtown Centerville. And come in the main entrance of the park and park at either the swimming beach or the boat launch and get on the trail off of one of those two facilities, and there's a circular trail all the way around that lake. It does go through, it goes outside of our land jurisdiction, but it does use a portion of City Trail, and then you'll be able to make a 360 loop around Centerville Lake. Yeah, I would say it's probably about 3 miles. So, you know, it's a nice walk. Might be 3.5 miles. Yep. I'm trying to think of another one that goes around an entire lake. The county only owns the land around, fully owns fee title land around one lake in our system, and that's around Island Lake up in Linwood Township. If you go down County Road 22 towards 35, on the north side of 22 is Island Lake, on the south side is Linwood Lake, but the county does own all the land around Island Lake, but we have a swimming beach, we have some earth surface trails there, but it does not, you can't go all the way around the lake. It's a great idea. Maybe we look at doing a, you know, circular loop around Island Lake. It's a beautiful little lake. It's, yeah, 40-acre lake, and it's probably the best water quality in the county up there.
In the white, you had a question?
What projects are being planned for the next few years? You mentioned one there.
Well, this building is getting re-roofed this year. It's in need of it. We did do some work in here to try to make the sound system a little better because we were holding some public meetings in this room. So that was taken care of. But after that, we've got some plans for some trails to be redone here in Bunker. That's like, I think, in the next 3 years with the right funding. Trying to think of what else off the top of our head.
Rapids Dam trails.
Oh yes, the Coon Rapids Dam trails. We're going to work on some of those. The trails are really the ones that we're trying to bring up to date. A lot of people get used to the really nice trails that now go alongside the county roads. They're brand new when the county roads are put in, and they're really in great shape. So now we're trying to get Bunker and some of the other older trails up to that same quality for people that like to go rollerblading and other things like that. They want that nice high quality trail, and some of these trails are getting a little older. We had hoped to have that done, was it this year? Originally planned, but there were some changes due to COVID where some funding was taken away and we couldn't get as much. We had to pay back the city of Andover. As you recall, Mayor, back when I was mayor, when we gave the county money to build the tunnel underneath Bunker for that project. And a lot of cities do that, or the county will go to the cities and say, you know, would you be interested in something like this, and we'll pay you back when the state pays us on the bonding thing. And it took a few years, but we were able to get the city of Andover paid back for that underground trail on Bunker that's now there for people to get into the park from Shadowbrook. So it's kind of a nice addition. Is there anything else I missed?
What about any of the shelters?
Yeah, in terms of additional picnic facilities at Mississippi West and Ramsey, in our master plan, there is a medium to large size shelter planned for Mississippi West along the Mississippi River. At Rum River North County Park, will be a pedestrian underpass under Bridge Street because it's an at-grade crossing right now. That is in the mix. The Rice Creek Trail North Regional Project, we just got design and engineering money, so that project the next phase will be construction that we'll be pursuing funding for. Refurbishing, we just refurbished Lake George, all of those up there. Did you have any shelter in mind that needs it?
Yeah, I think Black Park needs it. I think the river needs it.
Yeah, Lock Park, that's structurally sound, to be honest with you. That structure, we don't spend the money if we don't have to.
Well, structurally sound in appealing, I think maybe articulating.
Sure.
Like that one just seems kind of dark and dreary and.
Are you talking the big shelter? Yeah, it is. It's a lot of mature oak trees. It doesn't allow a lot of light in from the sides, but yeah, that's a very popular facility. It truly is, and it's a larger group shelter, so that does get used. In fact, at that particular site, we're planning an outdoor Latino event, special event in August, partnering with the city of Fridley at that particular facility too. So we hope to showcase that facility to many others as well. But, you know, there's a lot of taking care of what we have, our existing infrastructure. So we're very strategic in our planning with not always adding more, but taking care of what we have first. And then once we get those squared away, then we'll start knocking off some of these newer master plan projects. Yes, sir.
I read in an article recently that the Banfield Center for the Arts is going to have to relocate because of the condition of the building. What's going on there?
The Banfield lock issue has changed a little bit. It started out, we had, Banfield was an interesting concept for Anoka County, a little different than what we do anywhere else in the county. Out of our Parks Department's budget, we yearly paid $50,000 to Banfield. It used to be $40,000. It got raised a couple years ago to $50,000. Due to the COVID issues, we began to look at our budget, and Jeff brought to the Parks Committee the fact that we have this $50,000 that we pay them. They're the only people that we've paid to be in our park. We don't pay the archery group over here. We don't pay the bunker stable group over there. They come in and they provide services, but we don't pay them. So it became an issue of, we let them know that we were planning to look at that because there's some things that we need to do. It not only cost us that $50,000, but it also cost us about another $40,000 in our budget just for the work that we would do on the building. That will continue, so that wasn't a part of the issue. But the issue was this 50 grand, which it kind of covered their price of their director to hire that person. The discussion started as, we would like you guys to know that we're not going to do that continuously, and if we do, it's going to be the board has to vote on it, not the parks, not left to the Parks Committee or to the Parks Department, because that was kind of a weight on their budget that really should be handled by the entire county board, all 7 members of us. We should make that vote. We make that vote every year when we fund part of the Historical Society. So that's what I brought back, and we began the discussion. In the meantime, as Wes was mentioning the opening of Bunker, and we had a conversation about that matter with people that were supportive of Banfield. And basically we said, we're going to continue to support you for the rest of the year. We paid him $25,000 in January, and now we paid him $25,000 in July. But at the end of the year, things are going to change, and you should be aware of that. We did not expect that they were going to leave. We were open to have them stay there as long as they wanted to. My suggestion to them was that you start kicking up your donations a little bit more charitable fundraising that you're going to need to do. In that, they had a big fundraiser on June 24th, I believe it was, and at that meeting, or at that fundraiser, they mentioned that they were no longer going to be at the Banfield at the end of the year. It's not us, we're not kicking them out, but they're going to move. I don't know if they've got another place that they have looked at. Someone's come up to them and said, hey, we'll let you have this for nothing or whatever. But it's great. If that's what they've got, that's great. If it's going to work for them, fantastic. We did have this other issue that we were dealing with because we're going to have to, as Jeff mentioned, there's a lot of work that has to go into Banfield. That meant that they were probably going to have to be closed down for periods of time while we're redoing the foundation or redoing the roof or redoing the siding or whatever else we had to redo. So we knew that that was coming up, and I know that they had a problem with that because they couldn't quite figure out how they would shut down for a period of time while we were doing the construction. So it might be a good fix if that's what's going to happen. Again, I was ready, along with Commissioner Meisner, we were both saying we'll just bring it to the county board, let all 7 of us vote on it, and if we want to put $50,000 in to help them pay for their director, we'll do that. Like I said, like we do for the Historical Society. I have since heard from other members of the county board that they don't really have as much interest in art as some of us might have. But having said that, it still needed to be something all 7 of us voted for. It couldn't be left just to the Parks Committee or the Parks Department. That wasn't a fair offer. We don't do that for anybody else. Yeah, that's and that's kind of what I was battling with Jeff. I didn't want to say, boy, you're going to have to keep burdening this 50 grand because this is how it's going to work. We had to find a different way to do it. We didn't really have that discussion very long with all 7 of us because we got the information that Banfield's ready to move out. So that kind of solved the problem for us, I guess, if that was the case. I mean, it might have been that we could have got 4 votes on the county board that said, yeah, we'll go and continue to fund that for a little bit longer. Commissioner Reinert, who's up in Lino Lakes, he said, I don't think we should kick them out right away. Maybe we give them a few more, another half a year or something there and see what happens. But if they continue to go with what they've told us they're going to do, move out, then they're moving out and they're going somewhere else.
What will happen to that structure?
That's a good question. Like I said, we want to find other uses for it, but it needs a lot of work. One of the benefits, you saw in one of Jeff's slides about all the different funding we get from different places, Met Council and other types of grants that are out there. This will open us up if it's no longer, this is the odd part about this, because we had an arts occupying company or business in there. We could not apply for certain trail funding and certain other kind of funding that was available if it was just in the park because of that arts thing. Well, now that the arts thing is being taken out, there might be other funding we can get, and maybe we can get it faster, maybe we can get the foundation done faster, we can get the roof done faster, and then it's going to be open to whatever we might figure out what we're going to do with it. We could rent it out similar to what we do at Rydell, which is a beautiful facility. It's small for weddings, but it's a beautiful facility for weddings. It's got a lot of outside space. This one's a little bit more, if you've never been inside, you have, it's broken up rooms, you know. Yeah, you'll see it. There's some rooms that are, you'd have to do some work, and I'm not sure exactly how you can do it. It was originally was a tavern. There may have been another use for it, some people say in the history books, but we won't go there. But it's an interesting building, and I think we've got some opportunities for that once we get everything fixed and get it up to snuff so it's not leaking and all the other problems that we might have. So.
Mike, Jeff, looking at the clock, how about one more question? I thought I saw a hand up. Kate, you had a hand up real early. Did you still have a question, Kate?
Yep. Okay.
Why don't you go ahead?
Do you have to do mosquito control in the parks?
You're doing a fine job.
Well, I would like to take credit for that, but no, the Metro Mosquito Control District, their main hub shop is right down Bunker Lake Boulevard, across the tracks. They're the first building on the left or south side. They do an outstanding job. We do partner with them if we're having a special event or something like that. We have treated areas, Coon Rapids Dam, summer concert series. So they will come in and do a quick fog for us on our request. But no, they do an outstanding job. They're the helicopters you see putting down their BT materials in the spring to target the larvae. So yeah, they do an outstanding job, and nothing to do with county parks.
Well, let's give Jeff a hand.
And again, we're very appreciative of Mike and Jeff spending the evening with us and sharing with us. As it came up a couple of minutes ago, we'll just announce that our next month's meeting will, in fact, be down at the Banfield Lock Center for the Arts. The director will be our guest. We've heard a side of the story here. Now what we'll probably be hearing is about that future direction, that the Center for the Arts will be taking. That meeting will be the second Monday night in August. That's August 9th. Again, I believe we're planning to do something similar where please come about 6 for a social gathering with the programming to start at 6:30. I will also note that our new program director, Deanne Christensen, is working hard as we're putting together ideas in the executive committee and working with Deanne to do our programming planning for the remainder of the year, September through December. And I think we're looking forward to a number of good programs as we perhaps move back a little more toward the election and elective processes in some of those upcoming programs as well. But this has been a terrific presentation, and thank you all for coming out and joining us here at the Bunker Hills Activity Center. And just a reminder, there are still treats in the back. Please help yourself to something on your way out tonight. Thank you.